question. What if the best moments of your life, the ones where you felt the most alive, were the most present, the most delicious moments of your life were the ones that you didn't plan for? They weren't on the schedule. They weren't on the agenda. They just happened. But in order for that stuff to happen, we need to create some white space. Let's take a little journey. This started as a joke. My sister and brother-in-law were going down to a trip to St. Pete when I lived in New York. It's the first time they were going to be away from children. It was for their wedding anniversary. So me and my typical optimistic, positive, Christmas attitude, I shot them a quick text without thinking. I said, act like kids again. Enjoy yourselves. Be spontaneous. And of course, they, doing what siblings do best, they saw it as an opportunity to tease me and make fun of me. It wasn't far after they landed. They were on a bus going to nowhere. They sent me a video. They have sunglasses on, red Solo cups in their hands. They're making a video. They said, we're on a bus. Where's it going? We have no idea. But we're being spontaneous AF. For the purpose of the TED Talk, I'll let you fill in what that AF means. Right? We're adults here. So it worked. I mean, I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious because, and I showed it to all the people I know, my colleagues, my friends, the family members, people I work with, and everybody was laughing. And apparently, that was an open invitation for them to send me their own spontaneous AF videos. And they were sending me videos like ditching work in the middle of a work day and going to the beach, taking an elevator from the 5th floor instead of taking the stairs, instead of taking the elevator, all these random things. And at the end of every video, people would say, being spontaneous AF. So it started, a little movement started. And one thing I noticed in these videos with all the people was how present they were, how alive they were. And so it made me question, why does spontaneity feel so alive? Why does a spontaneous act make us feel so alive? So I started digging into the research like I do, and it turns out there's actually science behind this. There's so many studies that have been done, so many things that show that when we experience the unexpected, something unplanned, something new, our brain releases dopamine. Dopamine, it sharpens our attention, it deepens our memories, and it heightens our level of presence in the moment. If you can tell me that there's a moment where you made a spontaneous decision or did a spontaneous act and you weren't truly present, I beg to differ. That forces us to be present. There's a lot of work out there, a lot of talks, a lot of self-help books on being present, right? We've seen all these things, we've heard them all. What if we can force ourselves into that present moment with a spontaneous act? So, when we think back when we were kids, I started they say hindsight is 20/20. Retroactively looking at my life, I started to realize that many of these moments in my life where I felt alive, that I really remembered, that some of my favorite memories were the ones that I didn't plan for. But somewhere in the shift from childhood to adulthood, we started to lose this curiosity. What point did we start to lose it? Somewhere in between childhood and adulthood, we exchanged curiosity for calendars. Our lives are so scheduled. I mean, I used to run real estate companies. I was the CEO of a real estate company. Don't get me wrong. Plans are very important. Schedules are very important. Calendars are important. It's just plan it, do it, show up on time, finish on time, right? So regimented. It's important. This is a great way to run a real estate company. It's not the best way to live the most delicious life possible. So we actually had a saying in a company I worked for. If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist. I know. So we continue to plan, we continue to schedule back-to-back appointments, back-to-back every day. We're stuck in these routines doing the same thing. Now, what happens when we're on an appointment and we have the next one coming? We're just thinking about that next thing. But what if sometimes the moments that surprise us most in between those is where we're going to live, where we're going to have the best life? I call that white space, creating white space. What if you could schedule your spontaneity? That's weird, right? How can we schedule our spontaneity? How can we plan for this? By creating what I call white space on your calendar. White space is the birthplace of spontaneity. So I'm not talking about reckless, because some people are, spontaneity is reckless. No, I'm not talking about reckless impulsiveness. I'm talking about true, in the moment, intentional decisions that light you up and make you feel alive. Because I started realizing and looking at all this stuff and seeing what's going on in my life. So many times it showed up. One time professionally for me, I was at an event and somebody asked me to give a talk on leadership because of the work I was doing in my company. Now, I never gave a talk on leadership at this point. I didn't have any slides. I didn't plan what I was going to say. But something inside me just said, say yes, was screaming, say yes to this opportunity. So against the fear and against the reluctance and the lack of planning, I said yes. And now looking back, that would be the catalyst that led me to the work I'm going to do today, that I'm doing now, leading me away from running real estate companies and actually living the life that I love in the work that I'm doing, working with people, helping people experience these same things. And more, this started showing up for me. I remember it's so present for me. One time I went to Maui. This is an interesting trip. And I said, let me do this on purpose. Does anybody overplan your vacations? You ever go on vacation with somebody that's overplanned? You got the itinerary out and all the stuff that you're doing? So I said, let me go to Maui, Hana. It's a very interesting place. Took a very small plane there. And when I got there, day one, I'm there. And I'm just there. I'm sitting at the bar. The bartender, I'm like, hey, is there anything cool to do in town? And she said, you should come with us tonight. We're going to go in the jungle. And there's a farm-to-table pizza place. There's going to be some people playing music. It's a good time. Great people, live music. Come, you should join us. So what do you think I did? I said yes. I said yes. And I showed up not knowing what to expect. And then while I was there, what an amazing experience I had. And even while I was there, for further proof that decisions on the spot light your life up, I met a gentleman named Josh. He had long hair, starting to dread, lives in the jungle. And in talking to Josh, he told me, he shared that he came from Silicon Valley and he had a job making $300,000 a year. And one day he said, whose life am I living? And he decided to give it all up, had a mic drop moment, got on a skateboard, took it to a plane, went to Maui, built a tree house, and he lives in the jungle, lives off the land. I call him Jungle Josh. This is a real human being. So the night goes on, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? What else is going on? And Jungle Josh says to me, you know what? Tomorrow, we're going to be at the other side of the island. A few of us, we're going to watch the sunrise. There's going to be some drums, some great people, some music, and clothing is optional. So I said, what the heck? You haven't lived until you participated in a naked hippie drum circle and watched the sunrise. So as life would have it, because of spontaneous decisions I made later that night, the morning had other plans for me. So it turns out spontaneity sometimes requires recovery time. You guys, I know you guys are with me, but this started happening so much, and I started realizing this is where life is actually happening. And so I shared with you a little bit professionally what happened in making these decisions. Personally, this showed up in one of my favorite roles in life, being a father. I always like to do things with my daughters on their birthday. I call them daddy-daughter dates. Just me and my one daughter. I have two daughters. We'd go and do whatever they wanted. One would want to go to Six Flags. We'd go ride roller coasters. One would want to go to the beach. We go to the beach. And not planning anything and just see where it's going to take us. What can we get into? Well, one time with my daughter Abby, I was at the beach. And we're walking through the town, just taking a little break. We walked past a nail salon. And she said, Daddy, do you want to get a pedicure with me? Get a pedicure with me. I've never gotten a pedicure at this point. Wasn't interested in never getting it wasn't on my bucket list. Right? So I said, you know what? Yes, let's go get the pedicure. And to this day, we did the pedicure. We had a great time. And this is just a small example of, in my life, how this shows up over and over again. And which memory do you think my daughter remembers more? She remembers the time Daddy got a pedicure with her. Not the nice hotel we stayed at necessarily. This stuff too, but it's in these little moments. Now, if we were overscheduled and overplanned, would we have the space for these magic moments to happen? That's a question. I think we're just in this hustle society. Everything's about grit. Everything's about more operating efficiently. How much can I squeeze onto my calendar? What can I get done? And perhaps if we just add a little bit of space on your calendar, a little white space, instead of blocking an hour for lunch, block 2 hours, see what happens. Take a different way. Do these things. So started looking back more and more and realizing, where are all these moments? Where are all these moments? Moments lived in the structure. So am I saying abandon structure? No, I'm saying create a structure within a structure that allows you for freedom. I know it sounds counterintuitive, right? It's Ted. Are we allowed to have counterintuitive ideas? Yeah? So, dude, none of these things were scheduled. None of them. None of them. There's things that are scheduled that I have a memory of, don't get me wrong. But these things that make you feel the most alive were rarely ever scheduled. Rarely scheduled. Think about it. Think about a time in your life where you said yes to something. A conversation, meeting a new person, accepting an invitation you normally wouldn't have accepted before. How did it make you feel? How did it make you feel? So my challenge for you guys is to say yes to something, right? Somebody asks you to go skydiving, go ahead and take that invitation. Take a different way to work. See what pops up. Walk a different way. Talk to someone new. Accept an invitation, and that invitation might just be the person that owns the tiki barge in the bay that your boat goes by every month for a year. And you say, I wonder who owns that. The true story. These things happen. And every once in a while, take a shot at tequila with the scorpion in it. Call someone you love just because for no reason. Spontaneously reach out to someone, let them know how you feel. Because the memories that you're going to have when you're 90, 100 years old aren't going to be the ones that were on the calendar. They're not going to be the ones that you scheduled. They're going to be these little moments that live inside these things. So let's create more of that for our lives. Why aren't we doing this? Life is like that bus that Ange and Matt were on. Sometimes you don't know where it's going, and it's going to end up being the best thing, the best memory that happened to you. So, I tell you, if you haven't started, look for your opportunities. Get out there and be spontaneous AF. Thank you, guys.